This is Jacqueline, a secretary at a smaller law firm, currently talking to her wife Lois, who's acting like an angel, being all nice and sweet, wishing Jacqueline a good day. With tired eyes, Jacqueline puts down the phone in a gesture of defeat and wonders if she really deserves all this. Maybe she was made to be stomped on. Thinking back to the morning's earlier events, when her wife had loudly accused her of not cleaning from the table, she had taken a plate and thrown it on the floor as a stern gesture of her dominance. In the middle of her self-pity, her secretary friend Camilla approached her, forcing Jacqueline to collect herself and hide away the pain she felt within. Camilla looked at her with an amused smile as she asked Jacqueline, with an intrigued voice, if she had heard about the new senior partner. Shaking her head with a silent no, Jacqueline wonders for a short moment why no one ever noticed how much pain she was in fact dwelling in. She emerges through her cycled thoughts and listens to Camilla talk about the new senior partner's all good qualities and wealthiness. Not really in the mood for talking to Camilla about stuff like that, she nods her head, noting her words as a good friend would. As Jacqueline reaches back home, she sternly throws her keys in the bowl, determined that she will stand up for herself. Seeing her wife in front of her in the hallway, she wants to tell Lois how miserable she's made her feel. But before she has the chance to speak up, Lois starts trashing her brother Jacqueline hadn't met yet, even though she had been married to Lois for 2 years. She kept saying that you can never trust him and that he will always let you down, that he will never help one when you're in need. But Jacqueline disrupts this ranting and tells Lois that she's not been feeling good lately, quite depressed actually. But Lois just dismisses it with, "You don't have any problems, you're fine, you're thinking too much about it. Think about something else instead and it's going to be okay." Many times had Jacqueline heard this riddle before, but something within her snapped, and she looks at her wife with a serious stare, and with a solemn voice she says, "You're poisoning my life, but not only mine, your brother's too." Upon which Lois smiles and shakes her head in denial. Jacqueline feels the familiar feeling of anxiety surge through her body as she walks to the kitchen table to look outside the window. She observes all the raindrops that fall upon the glass as they try to grasp at something to make them stay, but failing as they keep falling. Jacqueline feels like she's falling apart, like a raindrop sliding down the glass. She felt like she was in touch, yet slipping away. Back at work, Jacqueline's assigned to work on the new senior partner schedule. Remembering what Camilla said, Jacqueline decides to try and befriend him. After a few nights of tightly working together, the senior partner, Greg, wraps his arm around her shoulder. At this point, Jacqueline should probably protest, tell him that she's married, unavailable. But there's a certain warmth and comfort in that touch that holds Jacqueline aback. She even finds herself smiling. It doesn't take long before Jacqueline starts to sneak around with Greg, always at his place or out in the wide open, where Lois's line of sight cannot reach them. And soon after a month of secret dating, Greg decides to bring Jacqueline to meet with the little family he has left, his sibling. A certain dread lingers at the bottom of her throat, where the affair seems to become serious. But instead of fearing it, she embraces it. Jacqueline starts thinking that maybe she doesn't need Lois anymore, now that she spends so much time with him. Maybe she could end her marriage and begin a life with Greg. Waiting for Greg's sister to come home, Jacqueline sits by the kitchen table, watching her phone, anxious yet excited to meet her lover's sibling, family. And soon Jacqueline could hear the rustling of keys on the door. She feels nervous chills down her spine as she is about to greet the family she hopes to be a part of one day. And there she was in the doorway. She dropped her keys. Her mouth is wide open, her arms still beside her body. She looks at Jacqueline the way no other woman ever could. And then she looks back at Greg, fury in her eyes. And in the epiphany of the moment, Jacqueline imagines her wife running into her arms, crying for her forgiveness, going down on her knees, apologizing profusely, running up to her to give her a warm, loving hug she's been missing out on for months. Noticing the tension between the siblings, Jacqueline thought that for the first time in her entire life, two people were going to fight for her undivided attention. In an excited heartbeat, she looks back at her wife, that would finally grow up and fight to get her back. Jacqueline would finally matter. She would no longer be neglected. She'd, after all this time, be loved and cared for. The three of them looked at each other in a way which Jacqueline quickly recognized as anger and fear. And the time that seems to have floated on so peacefully and calm gains an erratic pace as the two people reach Jacqueline in such an animalistic movement. Her wife grabs her feet and drags her off the chair, whereupon Greg takes her arms. As the two people Jacqueline loves the most in the world carried her toward the window, a tense feeling starts forming. It was as if something dark and cold exploded in the back of her head, whereupon cold chills spread down her spine. She felt no more joy and appeal. She feels conquered and wrong. And then with one swing, they throw her out the window. Falling, she feels the stinging cold grasping her fragile skin, and Jacqueline imagines, in that split second, her bones cracking from the impact of the concrete floor, followed by a radiating whiplash pain. She thought about all the mistakes and sacrifices she's done and was about to commit, and wondered if this fall was her salvation. The cold air brushes against her olive skin. As the gravity keeps pulling her down, she realizes that what she had left was no redemption, but damnation. And there they wait to witness the sound of bones shattering, but their patience fade as they are met with a deadly silence. As Greg is about to lean outside the window and witness the body, the sound of a loud splash enlightened the both siblings' heart as Greg looks down to see Jacqueline floating in the pool unharmed. As Greg realizes that they haven't harmed her, he turns around to his sister, and he looks at her in relief and uncomfort. Yet again, she has made him do things he never thought he had the guts to do. Standing there with his arms resting against the window frame, watching his beloved float scared and alone in the pool, he ponders deeply what he had done to deserve this life of his.
So walk on by, I've got no reason to love you, but I do. Show me the colors of the sky, but all I see is gray. You lost me when you lied. Promise me that you never try. Secrets in your eyes.